Gentlelady's time has expired. Mr. Moore.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm actually looking forward to today. It's going to be a long day. Most of us are going to miss our flights. But I appreciate everybody showing up. In fact, I joked with the press that are outside the door here. I said, what is this, the Oversight Committee or something? You guys looking for a soundbite or whatever? They got a chuckle. But the point is, we've been battling this out I've been on this committee for 3.5 years about. We've been battling this out here, and we've been going back and forth. And as you've heard from the gentleman from California, like, I sat there and watched him take a vote that was very difficult, that would have been one of the best things to actually, go after our deficits last Congress when we did the Fiscal Commission Act. I hope we can re-up that. I hope that's part of what we're gonna do, and I hope it can actually be a lot more supported by my Democrat colleagues if we can get that going. We have been in these worthy fights for a long time now. We don't get a lot of attention on the Budget Committee except for this one moment. I hope we can actually sustain this attention on this most important issue outside of just one day. And I look forward to continually working in a collaborative way to get this done. Today, though, this is a moment that we're going to, as Republican House Conference, we have been breaking our backs trying to get to where we are today. This has been an enormous amount of work, and I'm thrilled at what we've come up with. This is a framework, today's budget framework, that will, for the first time in my time in Congress, which hasn't been, it's going on my 5th year, this is the first time I've seen us be serious about coming up with real spending reform, spending cuts, savings to our overall expenditure. If we don't do that, this one stat will continue to get worse. Our revenues for decades have been at 17% of GDP. For a while, our spending was at about 17, 16, 18% of GDP. And over the last 15 years, it's skyrocketed to 26% of GDP. That is what we mean when we say we do not have a revenue problem. That's been consistent. Whether we've had tax cuts, whether those have expired over the last 20 years and you've gone through a different reform process, we have kept revenues at 17%, but our spending has grown to 26%. And if that continues to happen, that's where we enter into a sovereign debt crisis. We do not have a revenue problem in our country. We have a spending problem. This budget today, admittedly, will not solve our deficit. It will not solve all of the issues that we have on this front. I wish it were. This is the very best approach to be able to get at that problem. And we're going to hear a lot of things today from my colleagues from the minority. And the one thing there's two things that will really frustrate me, and we're going to work it out, and I hope that we'll be able to hear from both sides on this. The first thing is they're going to make a bunch of claims about what's in this bill, about what's being cut, what's being, from this Medicaid program or this welfare program or this. This is a framework of dollars about what we're going. It's just a balance sheet. It does not have specifics about programmatic changes. We're going to hear all the claims, and they're already going out to districts saying this or that, and that is not what we're talking about today. This is not about specific items within the budget. This is about the framework, about what we're going to do to create pro-growth tax policy and also find spending cuts with an assumed growth rate that is very conservative, very reasonable, and something that we actually hope we exceed. And if we exceed that, that's when we will be able to actually, dig in and truly go after more deficit. So we can get into all those specifics. The other lie you're going to hear is that the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act from 2017 was all about the wealthy. It was all about the billionaires. So doubling the child tax credit was all about the billionaires? So doubling the standard deduction was all about the billionaires, right? So the fact that we created a pro-growth tax policy that grew wage growth was all about the billionaires without inflation. You did not see a rampant rise in inflation after the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. When did we see a rampant rise in inflation? After the American Rescue Plan in 2021, when Democrats had the White House, House, and Senate, you saw the worst inflation that we've ever seen. Don't take my word for it. Larry Summers said it's because the relief spending. Democrats, when they get this opportunity, they spend. When Republicans get this opportunity, we are trying to cut as much as we possibly can. With that, I hope we have a lot more discussions about this today, and I yield back, Chairman.
Gentleman's time has expired.